Hello, guys. So, today I'm going to be talking about how I learned to thrive in solitude. And I think that this is something that I struggled with for such a long time until I realized that solitude meant that you have a choice for your emotions, your happiness, and generally how you choose to live your life. A lot of people think that solitude is being associated with loneliness or fear of being alone, but honestly, I think that solitude is the biggest gift that is ever bestowed in the universe that we can train ourselves to appreciate, because solitude, I think, in my terms, means that we are able to enjoy being alone, and we it's not like we don't have people to hang out with and we don't have places to go, but much rather we choose our inner peace and we choose to hang out with the people that make us feel nourished or fulfilled rather than people who drain our energy. And people who thrive in solitude, I think they know what they want in their lives and they don't settle for less, and they also are able to choose to be in situations that elevate their energy or their growth. And I used to not be able to stick with myself. I used to need to go out every single day and to hang out with friends because I think that that's the only way that I find value in myself. I think that going out and being in my own light, I'm an extrovert actually. A very common tendency for extroverts is that they tend to find themselves more when they are outside socializing with people, because people are then gonna tell them things like, oh, I love how you talk, I love your confidence. And I used to think that that's a very huge part of my identity when I get recognized by people for who I am. However, things have changed, and I realized that as I started to grow older and go through certain things in my life, I actually appreciate being alone and just being in my own comfort space at home, just learning new things about myself more than having to be out there all the time. I'm not saying that being an extrovert is a bad thing. Going for social events and hanging out with friends is necessarily detrimental for you. However, I think that the way you perceive of yourself and how your state of being is deep inside when you are with other people or when you are not in solitude is the most important factor that comes in. I realized that when I was out there and not being able to appreciate solitude, I was very weak and I would very easily be vulnerable to my own emotions and thoughts. For example, because I kept relying on people and places to fulfill my empty space, my void, I realized that one day when I felt really sad or when I felt really negative, I almost had no ability to just sit with myself and be aware of who I am and break through those hard times and challenges. However, now I realize that when we're able to thrive in solitude, you are almost a stronger person because you are willing to sit with yourself even when things are hard, even when you're not feeling your best. You don't rely on people to give you that short dopamine or that companion that you think that you need, and it's honestly all in your habits. I used to operate out of a mindset where I would be an anxious attacher. This is something that I learned in this really amazing book called Attached. And this is something that I've been reading lately, and it has gained so much insights for me, what kind of attachment style I am and what I want to work to become. And I realized that having a secure attachment style is something that I'm working towards, because I still think that a part of me still has that anxious attachment style. So for anxious attachment style kind of people personas, I feel we are very reliant on other people, on the idea of love and happiness, just for me to feel like I'm worthy and enough in my life. However, I realized that that's not how it is, because we came here alone and we're gonna leave the world alone. So if we are so fixated towards having other people to fulfill our emotional needs, or depending on people to give us that identity that we don't have within ourselves, I think that it's gonna take a toll on our mental health, and we're gonna be at mercy of things that we can't control. So this is something that I realized when I learned that thriving in solitude is one of the greatest abilities and strengths that we can ever have in our lives. And one tip that I have to thrive in solitude was just to start from yourself. The reason why I couldn't thrive in solitude in my past years of living was because I kept thinking that I don't have the ability to be with myself. I need that sense of comfort from people, and also I didn't cultivate enough habits of self-love in my everyday life that helps me deal with my own shortcomings and my challenges. So the greatest thing that I did to even start on this journey of being able to find happiness within yourself and thrive in solitude is literally just learning to be with yourself more and more. We used to want our schedules to be filled with events, parties, and even date nights and hangout spots with people. However, I realized that only drained my energy a lot when I wasn't enough for myself. So what I did was just to have more me time. And when I'm having a me time, I learned to journal and reflect on a lot of things that affect me rather than just asking people for advice all the time. I think that I used to be someone who needs so much affirmations from people, and I would think that I need someone to tell me that this is the decision I should make for me to be secure, because I wasn't a secure attachment style person. Now I know that this is something that I can do, and we can always change who we if we want something for ourselves. For example, I went from anxious attachment style to slowly now learning how to be more secure and just accept that these anxieties and all these things that we think that we need from other people, it's just how you perceive of yourself. If you choose to be someone who is very insecure and then keep attaching your happiness and security onto other people, you are going to operate out of that in your life. However, if one day you just start to see that this is not working out for your long-term happiness, and you decide that you want to do things differently now, and you want to learn to commit to yourself in your growth, and then have the ability to love yourself and thrive in times that are hard, and you think that you need other people to heal you, I promise you that you can start to experience that you are a different version of yourself, and it doesn't take so much like how people think. It's challenging. It's not easy to deal with your own emotions and negativities and things that are thrown at you, changes that are made in your life, people who live your life. We are bound to feel sadness, fear, and worries because that's just human nature. But one thing I also learned is to embrace the human nature, but also find strength in coping with your negativities and just the life that we're gonna go through that is gonna be filled with pain and loss and sufferings, because this is honestly just part and parcel of human life and what we're here for. If you didn't have pain, if you didn't have fear, you wouldn't change and you wouldn't grow and you wouldn't become a more healed version of yourself. If all you want is just happiness, love, and all the beautiful things that our mind thinks that we need to survive, we're not gonna be who we are today, because you're not gonna mold yourself into something better. You're not gonna understand yourself even more. So thriving in solitude to me is, at the end of the day, choosing a version of yourself that you know is good for you, and you know that when you are on your self-growth journey, you're gonna be alone. And that's the beautiful part about growing, that you don't need other people in your journey, and you can be the one who show up for yourself, to be independent for yourself, and then you can slowly show up better for people, and then you realize so many greater things that you couldn't, because all you did was just rely on people and the world. when deep down you were so empty, and now when you are full, you start to know that, hey, I can give better and I can receive better now. So that's really just what I experienced in my journey, and I'm still working towards being a more fulfilled and healthier version for myself and for other people. So I hope that in my videos and in my journey, I can empower all of you to also live to your truest version of yourself and find happiness and love within yourself instead of seeking from the outside all the time. On my next videos, I'll be talking about how I learned to be a more complete version of myself and sharing my journey with all of you. Thank you for watching, and I hope to connect with all of you guys in my comment section. And don't forget to subscribe and see my playlist for more content that may resonate with you. See you guys very soon.